everywhere. The data needs to be able to tell a story, yes, and the story has this emotional component. I would like to highlight that too, absolutely.
And comes back to the topic about both logical and emotional and how to achieve that. So I may start with how to get a clear structure first, and then we will talk about how we can build emotional connection with your audience. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I love that.
So for clear structure, sometimes people didn't tell good story because they put too much detail into the story, which bored people. Or they didn't find the theme in their story. So they have lots of here and there, but didn't have a clear theme there. So that's another problem. So if you could use a clear structure to organize your story, then you can cut all those unnecessary parts. You only highlight the most important thing, which will be easier to be absorbed by your audience. So a clear structure is very important. So I come up with the 5S structure. So, but I think all the like playwriters, authors, they have different like models. So mine is more for business people, for professionals, because we don't need to tell very, very long story like a movie, like drama, right? Maybe only 3 minutes. Yeah. So the 5S, the first is start. So you need to tell your audience what is the start of your story, like dating back to when, if you share a successful case, so this is the client approach me in which year. And so this is a very, very quick beginning of your story, when and where the story happened, what they were doing. And second is most important thing is struggle, because what attracts people's attention is the conflict, which creates the tension. So when you were doing your thing, what difficulty you encountered, and people will stand in your shoes, start to wonder, oh, how would you solve that, right? So conflict creates tension, which is important, is a struggle, second part. And the third part is solve. So how you solve your problem, how you solve the difficulty. And this gives people inspiration. Usually it comes with mindset shift, it comes with your action you take, or it comes with your creativity, right? So this will give people inspiration. Oh, they can solve the similar problem, or they have trust in you. You can help them solve their problem, right? Because if you are selling your own service. And the fourth one is result. So this word didn't start with the S, but it has an S in the middle, the result. Yes, because result, then this is the section you can put your figures there, because you can use the figure as a testimonial for yourself. How you achieved a very good result through your solution. So here is the key. You don't need to share with your audience lots of figures. Only the most important one with bang. Oh, they were impressed, right? And last but not least is your standpoint, which is the key message of your story. What do you want to tell your audience? If it's an inspirational story, you can come up with a message which inspire people, like what I talk about, Craig Valentine's story, your dream is not for sale. But if it's like you're sharing your successful case with a potential client, you want your potential client have confidence in you, you could just borrow a sentence from your past client, how they complimented you as your standpoint in the end. So this is the way how you select your standpoint in order to persuade your potential audience. So this 5S structure will give people a simple framework to design your narrative. Okay, start, struggle, solve, result, and standpoint. So you just follow these 5 steps. It's easier. You won't put them too many details and become like beating the bush.
Yes.
You don't, yeah, you don't need to, you won't lose your audience. So some tips here. So the start of the story, keep it as short as possible. We need to come up with the second part, the struggle, as early as possible, because people will be attracted by the tension, some like crime scene drama, they may start with the conflict, there is a crime scene, somebody died. Maybe the first scene of the drama would be like that. And then what happened? Who killed this person? And then they will date it back to the start, this also means this 5S, it doesn't necessarily to be this order. You can change. You can also start with the struggle and then introduce the background of the story and then how you solve that. What are the results and what is the standpoint? Or you can even start with the result, especially when we are doing report to our boss. For example, I know many professionals need to do like monthly or quarterly performance report to the boss, like what I did in the past month, right? We can start with the wonderful result. And then your boss will be attracted. Wow, that's a pretty good result. And then you can tell your boss how you achieved that. And then your boss will be willing to listen to your story, how you achieved that. So this 5S structure could be very flexible. You can decide which S to be put in the first place. And then as long as you cover all these 5S, and then that's a complete and concise story.
I love that. It seems to be very smooth, very logical, and it seems to be realistic to put all of this into 3 minutes, for example. And I'm also confirming what I always thought before. It also requires to be well thought through in advance and well prepared. And I think this is one of the very frequent mistakes which I observe when we talk about storytelling. Many people imagine that when somebody is a storyteller, this is a kind of a natural gift. Maybe, but I think in the vast majority of cases, it is rather a well-prepared and a well-trained skill. Where the speaker really is clear about what point he or she wants to make.
I can share with you a story about one CEO I coach. Because many people say, oh, storytelling is gift, is like a talent. You're born with that talent. No, it is a skill which can be learned. So that's why I want to share with you a story about a CEO I coached. I think that's in 2015. That's a Chinese CEO in an educational organization. He had about 300 employees at that time. So he came to me and he wanted me to coach him for his upcoming speech in his corporate annual town hall meeting. So all his employees would attend that meeting. So the previous year, his speech was a disaster. He wrote a speech and he was too nervous on the stage and he forgot his line. And he had a long pause and his employees waited and then applauded him to give him encouragement. And he felt so embarrassed and frustrated because his original intention was to inspire his employees. While in the end, ironically, he received encouragement from his employees. And that's why he approached me and he didn't want to repeat his disaster. So I suggest him use storytelling because you don't need to remember your lines as long as you know your story. So after discussion with him, and he came up with 3 stories, one about his client, one story about his employee, and one story about his vision for next year. And also I asked him to rehearse many times in front of me, gave him feedback until he feel confident and fluent on the stage. So at that night, after he completed his speech in his annual conference meeting, he texted me with excitement. He said, wow, my speech was a great success. He got standing ovation from his employees. And after he finished like his 10 to 15 minutes speech, it's 3 stories. Yeah. So from there on, he embraced public speaking, because he totally enjoyed telling story to others. So he took more public speaking opportunities to represent his company, to speak on like industrial conferences. like that. And he even wrote a long testimonial